Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a fabulous guest with me today, Ian McDougall. He is joining us from South Africa, and he is one of the members of the Interactive Storytelling Program. And he's launched his own interactive experience. And what I wanted to do is get into basically what his experience with the program was, but also the reason behind his interactive story, and a little bit about what he hopes to achieve with it, and some of the challenges and struggles, and maybe some of the wins that he's experienced while developing it. So Ian, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you taking the time in your evening.
Pleasure.
Awesome.
Okay, good to be here. Thank you.
Good. Likewise. So my friend, tell me, before you joined the program, tell me what you were up to and how you kind of ended up there.
Okay, so I'd recently been made redundant from the job that I was in. I'd been at a telecommunications company for 12 years, working in the instructional design field. And I was pursuing opportunities in the field of e-learning, learning and performance, and really looking for ways to improve on I think what I'd been doing while in the telecommunications company, because you tend to get into a rut in terms of what it is exactly that they want, and they start telling you what they want, as opposed to you telling them what you can give them. So I was actually looking around for opportunities at the time that I joined the program.
Okay. So at that point, it was just like, when you say, you said you were looking to kind of upskill or find a different way of looking at maybe the work that you were doing. Why were you, so you said it was because somebody was, you kept on being asked to just being told what to do. So what's wrong with that? Like, why would you, was it something that you saw or felt that made you say, I want to do more? Or what was it?
I'll tell you what, a number of years ago, and I think I'm talking about 5 years ago, I was looking for ideas. I was looking for ideas to improve what we as a team were doing. And because we were using Storyline, I came across on the Storyline, I'm sure it was on the Storyline website, the interactive story about Haji Kamal. And I looked at this and I thought, wow, now this really could change the way we are doing things. And I showed it to our sort of senior management team, and I said, you know what, we could change the way we are presenting learning completely, but by doing something like this. And everybody nodded their heads and said, yes, no, it's wonderful. Really, really looks good. But hey, let's just carry on the way we are, because we know that that's working. And it was really quite disappointing. And it was probably about January, February of 2020 that an ex-colleague of mine forwarded one of your videos to me and said, look at this. Would you be interested? And it took me probably about 2 or 3 months to make up my mind to actually say, yes, this is what I want to do. And because I could see that this was going to be a way that I could achieve what I wanted to achieve back then, with creating interactive learning that engages people, and not just engages people. Everybody talks about gamification, And they think that, because you put a couple of little stickers up there that, it's really going to engage people because they every now and again, they get a new sticker. I'm talking about e-learning that engages people and makes them think. Because when you start to think about what you're learning, that's when you learn. And then I had an interview with Anna.
And then that's all, folks.
And then I was convinced. Yes, then I was convinced that this was the way to go.
Cool. So when you first jumped in, tell me honestly, when you jumped into the program and started your project, did you feel? How did you feel? Scared, reluctant, skeptical? How did it go?
Intimidated. There was a lot of content to go through. I remember downloading all of the content from the website and thinking, oh wow, okay, this could take some time. So I was excited because I was going to learn some new skills. I was going to improve the way I looked at designing e-learning. But at the same time, you're anxious, how is this going to turn out? Am I going to be able to do what I wanted to do? What if I hit a stumbling block? But I really was excited to get stuck into it, and of course you then start jumping ahead, and you think, oh, what are they going to talk about in the next lesson? And I think it was the first the first group meeting that I attended. It was a Friday evening. And I think it was in the first half an hour, you said, don't jump ahead. It's important to follow the process. And I then stopped myself and I thought, yes, okay, if you're going to learn this, then you need to follow the process. Because it's very well set out. And if you follow that process, the way it's set out, then it works. I have to admit, I'm one of those, I suppose you call them the tinkerers, I will jump into the software and start playing around and seeing what I can do. And I can't remember how many times you said, forget about the software. Don't worry about the software. You've got to craft the story first.
So speaking of story, I want you to tell us about your project, but also why you decided to go that way, that route, why you put in all the work into that particular piece. So tell us about your piece.
The hesitant CSR.
Yes, the hesitant CSR.
Customer service rep. Coming out of the industry that I came out of, mobile telecommunications, fast moving, changes all the time, continually. And being part of the retail industry, it's generally not a career that people choose as, this is my dream is to go and work in a mobile phone store. Mm-hmm. It's generally a job that they pick up because they couldn't get a job anywhere else. They've just come out of college or university and they need some work experience. But what often happens is they get dumped with this pile of information that they have to learn. We at a point in time took the stack of training manuals that we had, piled them on top of each other, I think there were about 15 manuals, each between 80 and 130 pages each. And we try and cram this information into these people's heads within a period of 2 weeks. So the hesitant CSR came out of a desire to want to find a better way to assist these people who go into stores and have to deal with customers. And sometimes they have to deal with really, really unhappy customers who have, for one reason or another, had bad service. And they don't really know in their first couple of weeks how to do this because they haven't really received any real grounding. They haven't received good customer service training. They've glossed over all the different products and services that a mobile telecommunications company offers. And I wanted to create a way that we could draw them into a learning experience which would be as close to facing a customer as possible. You know, aside from having a training store, how do you bring these people into an environment where they're going to face a customer? And the interactive storytelling is the perfect way to do this. I, at the start of it, didn't want to get too complicated. So I went for just 3 customers with different problems that a CSR in a general day would have to solve. So our CSR, Peter, has these 3 customers, and based on how the learner answers certain questions, it's your typical interactive story. It can go one of 2 ways. It can be a success or it can be a failure. But when it's a failure, it has to be a failure in a safe place where they can go back and try it again. And by doing that, it gives them an opportunity to learn in a safe environment and to go back, and if they've done something wrong and they've failed, they can go back and try it again. So the whole idea there was to create a better learning environment.
Yeah. It's, I mean, one of the things we talked about, and I love that about your interactive story, is that because of your experience, and you were your own subject matter expert because you've been there for so long, and you know how quickly these people turn over, the kind of pressures they face, the kind of terrible advice they get from other peers. You incorporated all of that into that experience, which is wonderful. And actually, working, I did the same thing out of college. I needed to pay the rent, so I did work at a retail mobile. So I was like, yep, I can totally relate to this. So to me, that was fantastic because it was so true to the pressures. And so you said that the retention for those people is also quite low. Is that one of the reasons why why do you see it? Like, Ian, people will come back to you and will say, like those people before, oh, we wanted, the thing we're doing now is working. We're giving them manuals and they're reading them and they're showing up and they're serving customers. Why is that? Why would that need to change?
Well, you talk about retention, and I'm not sure today what their retention statistics are, but we were talking about probably a 30% dropout rate.
Oh.
And that was in a period of within the first 2 to 3 months.
That's huge.
Many of them would walk into a store, face their first angry customer, not know what to do, and just not come back.
Wow. They won.
Yes.
Wow. So
and that's sad because they've lost an opportunity to get the work experience that they so badly need.
mm-hmm.
And it puts a serious dent in their self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know, oh dear, now I've failed. What am I going to do now that I've failed?
Yeah.
And that's a terrible place to be for anyone, particularly when you're young. You're trying to you're trying to gain some work experience so that you can kickstart your career.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you see that happen, it's a lose for the organization, because they've invested a good few $1,000 training this person, recruiting the person, then training them, and then they just disappear.
Yeah.
For the person, they see it as failure. And that's hard to come back from.
Mm-hmm. My God, when you put it that way, totally. I actually never considered it, even though we've been working on this together. Now that you say it that way, as far as it's interesting, because I reflect on my own experience. And to be honest with you, my experience at the mobile store was really good because I did have great training, and I was really confident dealing with people because of that training. And to tell you the truth, after I left, I was a customer for life. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it stuck with me. So that was kind of a side benefit. So when you say, like, the investment up front, but then that person, how they feel about themselves and how you really didn't help them out constructively. Yeah. Okay. So this is an important interactive experience, everybody. So if you know anybody who's actually, Ian's got it linked on his LinkedIn profile, so you can check it out and go through it, right? Peter's story, which is, I think, it's a snippet of what's possible. And I think that one of the things that I really liked is that it concludes, it gives you feedback, but it gives you this. One of the things I really loved is that you made it so that the consequences or the decisions kind of ripple through. So if in the beginning you don't make some good decisions, they kind of come and bite you in the butt a little bit later because of the decisions that you've made up front, right? So it feels like, whew, yeah, I took care of that. That was easy. And then you see the outcome, the second and third order consequences of your decisions, which I love, because most people don't think that far, right?
Yes, and during my time as a trainer, we had many interactions with staff in the store who would literally go in for the kill. I can see this person has got lots of money. I'm just going to sell them the most expensive phone. Doesn't matter what they need.
Yeah.
No, this customer's coming with a problem. I'm not going to make any money out of them. I need to get them out of my store as fast as possible. And literally they would send them to a store sort of 3 blocks down the road and say, maybe those people can help. I'm not sure. But that ripple effect is that customer's not coming back to your store.
Yeah, ever. Or recommending it.
Ever.
Yeah.
I've seen the other side of it where people would go into a store and ask for a particular person. And they would be standing 3 deep in a queue waiting for that particular person because they know that particular person is going to solve their problem.
Yeah.
And when they want to go and buy something, they'll go back to that particular person. They're not going to the store. Because if that person moves to another store and that store happens to be close enough, they're going to move stores.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go back to that person.
Yeah. It's totally about connection. Yeah.
Yes, you have to make that connection further down the line.
Yeah. And I mean, it all begins with that. I like you said, this opportunity to fail in a safe place, and this opportunity to see the consequences of your actions, and over time, which is one of the things that's pretty amazing, because in an interactive story, what you can do is you can compress time, and maybe that person might not come back for like 3 or 6 months. You might not get it. But in an interactive story, you can make those lessons like in your face, right? Which is exactly what you did, which is awesome. I love it. So tell me, Ian, as far as, okay, how do you feel now that that you've got this piece? How do you feel about it?
I am. I'm I suppose, happy with the piece. What did happen that I certainly wasn't expecting was that I learned far more than I thought I would.
Okay, tell me about this.
So well, it's let's take something really, really simple that you guys introduced me to, was your what do you call it? Your karma meter, for instance, where I can give or take away points, so you can do that, where you can then say, okay, you need to end up with at least 25 out of 30 points in order to be declared competent. So you can test for competency using something like a karma meter, which was something that I had never thought of before. And the first time I really saw it, I don't recall if there was one in Haji Kamal, but there certainly was one in, what was the one that you did?
Broken Coworker.
Broken Coworker. Yes, Broken Coworker. And it just, I put in a timer, which gives you a certain amount of time to do things. But then in Broken Coworker, you were also looking at, but if you answer this, then if you answer in the wrong way, you're kind of losing points. And eventually you're going to get to a place where you don't have any more points left, and it sort of moves you out and sends you back to start learning again. Mm-hmm. There are things like that. So there are ways that you can use it to assess learning, which I had never thought of.
Awesome. Oh, that's great.
And let's face it, when in those corporate environments, they always want to know that people have learned something. So they always want some kind of a report at the end. And this is an awesome way of doing it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As opposed to 5 multiple choice questions at the end of it, which generally don't really mean anything. But we have to do it because we need a report.
Yeah, that's true.
Just one of the things that I would then now like to go and put into action and see how that can work.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And it's cool because the other thing you're doing is, in your interactive story, you layered things. You had, you not only had the timer, but then you had paths that people would take, but then on top of that, you had the metrics underneath, calculating it all, and that would depend on the path or where they would end up, and it would also end up dictating what kind of feedback they'd get. So it's cool because you can start really manipulating this to your desires, right? To your context.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, tell me, what surprised you about being a part of the coaching community? ISA.
What really, really surprised me was the number of people and professional people who are willing to share their knowledge and their experience with you. That to me was awesome. Apart from yourself and Ryan, everybody else that I interacted with, you put your story out there, and there's always one or two people who are going to go into it and have a look and give you feedback, and it's constructive feedback from people who are also going through this journey at the same time, as well as people who've been through the journey. And everybody's willing. When you get into those connect meetings and start to talk to people, you know what, I'm trying to do this. There's always somebody who says, yes, I try to do this and I did it this way. Or if you do it this way, then this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that to me was really, really, amazing. And I really look forward to those Friday sessions just because of it.
Yeah. I to be honest, I think that all of us get to be a part of your project when you're being creative. I remember us brainstorming your title page, remember? And we had this whole session.
Yes. Maybe had about 2 or 3.
Yeah. And it was like, there's this giddiness about being creative together, right? Brainstorming and everybody's popping in ideas. Yeah, you're right. That was really fun. That's cool. So yeah, go ahead.
It just changes the whole dynamic of the way you work.
Yeah. That's so
you've got
true.
So many different perspectives.
Yeah. You're no longer in a silo, right? Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
So tell me, as far as professional skills that you developed from developing this story, what do you think would be like this, or the skill that you're like, okay, this is now I can add this to my stack?
So certainly the interactive storytelling, how to craft the stories. When I first saw Haji Kamal, I thought, wow, it would be really, really nice to be able to do this, but I had no clue on how to go about doing it. And so it was that whole process that you guys have got laid out. That if you follow this process, at the end of it, you're going to have a story. And that was just so awesome. There was also a huge stretch in my knowledge of the software, because now you're being challenged on a completely different level. Because as you say, you've got to build in all these different layers, and you need to solve for that. So that really, really stretched me in terms of my knowledge of storyline, because you're crafting something that you want to do, and so you don't notice it. Oh, hang on, you know what? I've just been 4 hours trying to solve this problem. Yeah, that was really, really great.
Awesome. That's cool. It's fun. And I know that, I mean, when you came in, you were working in storyline. So that was something that you weren't intimidated by, but it was like now this is kind of a different aspect, right?
Totally different aspect. And I have to say, something that I did learn was within the group, Ryan cannot resist a challenge. So you come up with a problem that you can't solve, and by next week Ryan will have a solution for you. Professionally, how to make use of somebody else's skills.
Hey, that's what we do. We tap into other creatives and make it happen. That's awesome. Yeah, Ryan's going to love that you said that, because it's so true. It's so true. And I'm glad it worked out. So that was awesome. So tell me, if somebody else is going to be joining the program and you were going to give advice to them, what would you say?
Follow the program. Don't try and jump ahead, because you're going to get, you're going to lose your way. The program is structured to take you from your concept through to building your story, through to actually putting it onto a system. So whether it's storyline, whether it's whatever it is that you're developing it in, I said it earlier on, the number of times that you said, don't worry about the software now. Don't think about the software now. You have to craft your story. It's so important to craft your story because particularly when you're doing things like the branching, if you start all of a sudden thinking about where you're going to branch to, but you don't have what my green path is, as you always used to call it. If you don't have your green path, you're just going to get sidetracked. And I did get sidetracked a number of times. Working as my own subject matter expert, you kind of got all of these other things in your head.
Yes.
And as you're working down that green path, you're starting, but if I do this, and then I'd have to pull myself back and say, no, follow the program because it's designed to work that way. I would also say, don't be afraid to ask questions because this is a safe place to learn. And there are people who are more than willing to share their skills with.
That's awesome. Thanks, Ian. That's true. We all live vicariously through each other's projects.
Yes.
So where can people go to experience your interactive story or connect with you so they can hire you to do work with them?
Well, they can go to my LinkedIn profile.
Fabulous.
They could email me.
Okay. So what I'll do
my
is...
My email address is on my LinkedIn profile.
Perfect.
You're welcome to share the email address if you want to.
I will actually, one of the things I'll do is for anybody who wants to get in touch with Ian or to check out his interactive story so you can see what what kind of potential there is. There'll be a link underneath this video, or if you're listening to the podcast, there'll be a link underneath the podcast. Just click on it and then reach out to Ian with any questions. Fabulous.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. This was so much fun. It's so much fun talking to you, Ian. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much, Anna, and thank you so much for taking me through that journey.